there's some other business I want to talk about. Okay, involving the Jaguars, and this one, I don't know if this is like tinfoil hat stuff here, but I listened to a popular Jaguar podcaster. I don't want to mention his name just because I don't want to misquote him, but it's all surrounding the Mason Smith inactive duties. So this one was surprising. Mason Smith, I thought last week had a pretty good game. I mean, he drew 2 holding calls. He's a second round pick on a team that, I don't know how many teams in the NFL inactivated their second round pick if they were healthy. And the Jaguars decided to do that. And now, this person says that right now there seems to be some animosity maybe between Trent Baalke and Doug Peterson. And potentially Doug Peterson is a guy that wanted offensive linemen, and Trent Baalke didn't give him that. And potentially the Jaguars and Doug Peterson decided to stick it to Trent Baalke and decided to inactivate Mason Smith, which for me, if that is a true story, Doug Peterson needs to go ASAP, because I don't need this petty stuff going on right now where we're trying to stick it to the GM and trying to make the team not as good as they can be because they're not drafting what you want to take. But I don't know. Like, I know Jordan's at a bunch of these press conferences and stuff like that. Like, do you feel like there's any legs to potentially this rumor, or do you think it's just kind of a bunch of crap?
I do think that there's some animosity. Just, Trent Baalke generally stirs some things up within his organizations that he's a part of. And Doug isn't afraid to, be a little proud at times, but I would be shocked if that was the reasoning. I do think there's something like that they haven't told us, but like, I don't think that's it. Because Jason made a great point, like, on his show. In what world do you expect to activate Jeremiah Ledbetter and Asazio Tomewo, and they're going to all of a sudden be the answers for being more stout on the interior compared to Mason Smith? Like, and if you're going to have guys that are not stout up front, why not go with the rookie and try to continue to have him develop? Because you saw Jeremiah Ledbetter when he did have to play extended snaps down the stretch last year. That was when the run defense was getting gashed. That was when they had no chance to stop the run. When there was injuries to the interior of the defensive line and they weren't able to play well, and Jeremiah Ledbetter had to play a ton, he was not getting the job done. And we saw throughout training camp and preseason, Asazio Tomewo was much more about getting the interior penetration, disruption in the backfield. And so, honestly, like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, I just don't understand. Let's hear from you, Jason.
I don't know which YouTuber you're referencing. I kind of came to this conclusion on my own, and I brought it up on my show last night. I had Travis Holmes on. He tried to convince me that that Mason Smith didn't have a great game against the run against the Dolphins, and they asked Ryan Nielsen who he would rather have, and they said they'd rather have Ledbetter and Big O than Mason Smith. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that for a second. There's no world where you take a guy in the second round and you healthy scratch him. There's just no world. Like, doesn't matter what your game plan is. It doesn't. Like, you take a guy in the second round, he's expected to be either a starter right away or a very soon starter, and you don't healthy scratch either one of those positions in any way. And the 20% of the snaps they wanted those guys. That makes no sense to me. It doesn't. There's definitely something there. There's definitely something there. All of us as fans looked at it and were like, why didn't we take offensive linemen earlier? And it's not just like one or two or three of us. It's everybody. So maybe there was a conversation where Nielsen was like, I could get more out of Ledbetter this game. But it's the head coach's job to say, I don't care. Mason Smith was a second-round pick. We have to develop this guy for the future. So there's some red flags there, 100%. And like Jordan said beautifully, it's rare that Trent Baalke goes anywhere and doesn't have some sort of conflict with the head coach. So this is par for the course. I think there's something there. Also, your 4th-round pick is a healthy scratch as well.
Yeah, I was about to say that too. We're a team that was 1-5 down the stretch last year, and we struggled stopping the run. We desperately needed help. And also, Shad Khan spent what, $500 million this offseason on different players, and you're out here, you're not playing your second round pick, you're not playing your fourth round pick. And it's not like you're inactivating maybe a backup offensive lineman or something like that. Like, these are guys that if the second round pick is a defensive lineman, they're in that rotation, and you're taking guys that you're getting off the street for nothing and playing them over that. I don't know. If I'm Shad Khan, I am investigating the shit out of this, because I'm sitting here like, why in the world are we drafting this guy with a premium draft pick and not playing him? Like, what is the reason for that? Is he not a good draft pick? Is there something going on where, like, Doug, are you trying to stick it to Balky? Like, it's weird. I like it needs to be investigated by Shad Khan. And obviously the people asking Doug Peterson the questions, they can only press the issue so much. But man, this is really bad roster management, and just, it's really weird. It's strange. It's strange to me, because I would love to know around the league for second round picks that are not injured, how many guys around the league are healthy scratches? Like, I don't know. It's puzzling to me. It's puzzling to me.
And additionally, how can you even use one game? And I know they saw him in training camp and preseason, but how can you use one regular season game as a sample size large enough to even make the conclusion that he's not going to help us this week? That makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if he did have issues, it's not like he didn't help at times as well.
Right.
Like, he did draw 2 holding goals. He was disruptive.
Yep.
Maybe he wasn't holding the point great, but also Miami is a team that wants to make sure your interior defensive linemen are not involved in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Cleveland is quite the opposite. Like, maybe he would have had a chance to get even more involved this past week.
And like a second or third round pick, like, that's a key time to be able to draft interior offensive linemen. I mean, I would have liked, hey, how about a Cooper Beebe? I would have liked to draft him. Like, I bet if we drafted him, there's a very good chance that he'd be out there potentially, being able to actually potentially start week 1. I mean, obviously with Jaguars a little bit different, but man, there are guys out there in the second round. I mean, that in today's NFL, that's pretty much immediate impact. I mean, obviously we're playing Jarian Jones. Then our 4th round pick is also, inactive, and we're playing our 7th round pick. It's just
both 4th round picks.
It's weird. It's really, really weird. And I don't know. And I'm not someone that's sitting here and saying, fire Doug tomorrow, fire Balky tomorrow. Obviously, I want to get a sample size, but if there were a situation where, Doug Peterson is fired, we can't go into another coaching search with Trent Balky in Shad Khan's pocket. Like, we absolutely can't do it. I know we're kind of a little bit early to be talking about this, but it's just, this raises huge red flags to me that you're inactivating a second round pick who I thought had a pretty decent game for a first game for a rookie. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't know. It concerned me a lot, and they got questions, and Shad Khan needs to investigate this, because it's just weird to me.
Something's there.
Yeah.
100% something's there.